It is time for the crypto weekend where we're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Dogecoin, and see what's going on this week, where we think they're going. We're going to do some pretty deep analysis on some important aspects of those right now. But before we get going, check out the channel memberships. You get the best bang for your buck out of Stalagmite, where you get the real-time trade posts, and those members have been doing fantastic. Last month, we closed out the month up over $5,000 off of those trades. And also, you can check out SodaStraw or Stalactite, where you get the badges, you get the emojis. I'll be adding to these here actually very, very soon. You get early access to the videos. And if you're in Stalactite, I'll also do some member shout outs at the beginning of videos here. And that is that. Let's get going into it. Let's check a look at Bitcoin to begin. Bitcoin is riding the bottom Bollinger Band on the daily. We've hit the 50-day moving average. Okay, I've been saying for days that I think Bitcoin's going to come lower. I had some IBIT calls that I closed for an 80% profit on this day back here, and then for about break even here just a couple days ago. If you're in Stalactite, you knew about that. You heard about it right as it happened. You made 80% on the contracts that were sold, and you went break even on the ones that were held until a couple days ago. But overall, we made money. That's what matters. Anyways, we're looking at this orange line right here. Right here, currently at the price of 111,376. Okay, that breaks. If that breaks, we're coming down to probably 105,000. All right, 105,000. That's my target right now. Now you might say, "Oh, we're touching the bottom Bollinger Band," and you do the 3 times multiplier on the bottom Bollinger Band, which means it only touches the bottom of that like 2% of the time, and then it should go up. It should go up from here. But let's look at Bitcoin. How does Bitcoin react to this? Often we'll ride this thing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days and then pop up. 1, 2, 3, 4 days and then pop up. If it's going to pop up, it's going to pop up on that first, like off of touching it, it's going to do it on that first touch, like right here in February 3rd. And it still went flat afterwards before diving further down later. Okay. Let's take a look back here. Yeah, touched it once, went up to about the 20 and then to the top and then boom, right back down to touch it again. So if it was going to pop off from there, it would do it after touching it once. It tends to ride it if it's driving down. And then if it's going to pop up, it'll touch that bottom Bollinger once and then pop back up. And we didn't get that. So we got that riding down. It is riding that bottom Bollinger down. And I do think we will likely hit $105,000. Why do I think we're going to do that? And then the whole crypto, the whole crypto industry is going to suffer from this. The market's going to suffer. And we're looking at it right now, right here. Let's turn this off. There we go. Okay. We've got the global liquidity. What's going on with global liquidity? Now let me go ahead and make that about the same size as Bitcoin. Drag it around here. All right. Let's turn off our drawings, hide drawings. Okay. Okay. Let's get a little more granular in here. Okay. So if we notice, there was a peak back here. There's a little peak back here on global liquidity back on July 26th. Okay, what happened since then? Well, we did a little drive up and then a dump. Are we done dumping yet? No, I don't think so. I don't think we're done dumping yet, because look at this, the global liquidity. Now we might get a little spike up, back up to like $115,000, $116,000 sometime in the first week and a half of August. But if you notice, we don't get a pivot point moving back upward on global liquidity until August 16th. And while it hasn't always been exactly perfect with that move. Like if we look here, here's a pivot point with global liquidity. We went flat for 3 or 4 more days and then took off, and kind of didn't respect that this little pullback right here almost at all. So you can see, because we just kind of drove through it. And then in this case right here, right, we drove higher, hit that little peak there, and then like it sold off through that, and then started going higher before this one. So it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but there's some decent correlations here. Like this big sell-off here, sell-off on Bitcoin. We did go higher first, right? Did a double top. We needed a structure, but then it started selling off that whole time. And then in April, when things started going back up, grinding up higher with global liquidity, look at that. Bitcoin just grind up until this peak right here on July 26th, where we got a significant little peak and trough, we start following it down. Okay, so I'm looking around this time period, around 2 weeks into August. And from that period, we're looking for a drop. I'm looking for about 105,000, maybe 108, 110 is where it stops. We'll see. But once it starts turning around mid-August, I am looking for at least a period of time, and let's get the ruler out, a period of time of about 50 days, okay, or about a little over 2 months, right? Like up until the beginning of October, I'm looking for a move up. I think September is going to be a better month than most Septembers. This might be one of the few times September is actually decent because global liquidity started moving up. Now, I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be amazing. And if you look at the global liquidity, it doesn't even reach the peak that it got here in July. So we might just see a move from 108 or 5,000 back up to 117 or 118,000 before that October sell-off into November 4th. Look at this. We have another peak that goes even lower, slightly lower than this one in August, slated for very early November. And that dump, that drop could come last week or the second to last week of October. And that's where I'm going to load up hard, especially if, and I'm going to watch this like daily, especially if this liquidity goes up higher than this one right here, right? Higher than this peak here from July 2025, especially if it goes higher than this peak back here. Let's go over here. No. We gotta make it smooth. All the way back here in 2022, like look at that, just phew, that mountain, that crested in 2022, but Bitcoin crested in November 2021. So if sometime around, let's go back to 2021. If sometime around, let's give it about, yeah, there we go. If sometime around November, like let's say that beginning of November, right, we start getting that just drive. Like look, this one started in October. And so last time in September, right, it was driving higher into September, and September 8th is where Bitcoin started falling down. And then, yeah, that global liquidity came down until October 4th. And then from October 4th all the way until December, right, the global liquidity was going higher. But if you look, Bitcoin front ran that pretty hard. Like, let's pull that down. Bitcoin started early, went really hard, did that, like, see that little double peak right there? We got that little double peak. Like, it'll mimic it, right? It'll mimic it. Peak, and then it starts selling off. And then the liquidity kind of piddled around there. This is when we got some really nice altcoin stuff, right? Early on. And then it started dumping off real hard. So I'm looking at this little move right here as a period of time where I'm expecting Bitcoin to drive higher. And like we're getting a similar sort of thing right now, right? Like back here, right? We got peak, 2 peaks, and then Bitcoin gave 2 peaks and then drove and then sold off just like that, right? Sharp spike, right, on Bitcoin, sharp spike on global liquidity, and then a drive higher. Over here we got a flat top and then a dip. Over here, flat top and then a dip. A little spike right here in July 6th. We got that a little bit early. We got that in June 24th, but like that spike down and then higher up. So we're looking for that sort of thing right now, right? And then we're gonna get that drive probably in September, and then a harsh dump into October, and then from November, if we can see a spike in global liquidity in November where it goes up like dramatically here, kind of like either in April or in like, I mean, look at this though. Look at this. If we look at this, I got to turn my drawings back on. If we look at this spike in global liquidity compared to this one in April, right? Compared to this one in October 2024, compared to this one also in August 2024, what do they all have in common? Sharp spike down followed by a V shape and then drive higher. V shape, drive higher. V shape, drive higher. If we get this V shape here on global liquidity and it starts to drive higher, we are looking at a significant move up in Bitcoin at that point in time. Okay, that's what we'll be looking for. And let's analyze those one more time here on Bitcoin. So April, you know what happened in April, right? That sharp drop, global liquidity went up. This came up hard with it, hard. Let's go back here. All right, we got that sharp spike in August and it drove up until September. Well, Bitcoin got that sharp spike and it drove up until the end of August before selling off early to this dip. But, right, then this started coming up. Boom, Bitcoin also sharp move up pretty much that entire time that this was moving up, right? Boom. And then again, let's see if there are any other like sharp spikes we can look at here. Oh, there's one. Let me drag that. Here we go. This sharp spike in global liquidity, right? Soon after that, boom, drive higher. And that's what it started to diverge, actually. It started to diverge from that global liquidity there. But if you look, like, it matches up a good amount of the time. A good amount of the time. Right here again, right? Bitcoin was going flat. Global liquidity did a little V shape and drive higher. And what did we get? We got a nice little pop up right there. Nice little pop up of like 10%. Not so bad. Okay, so we're watching this very, very closely. This is very closely correlated to Bitcoin, and that's why I have it on the chart. That's why I watch it. And so I am expecting September to be better than expected, right? But October is probably going to dump pretty hard. So pay attention. We might come as low as 104, 105, and then back up to 117, and then back to 100 in October, just to scare everyone, and then go back higher. So we'll look at that. Let's look at the 1 week for Bitcoin. Yeah, that looks like it wants to drive lower on the weekly. We're nowhere near any Bollingers. The 20 week is all the way down at 101. I wouldn't be surprised to touch that, honestly. Let's take a look at the 1 month. The 1 month, we're nowhere near any Bollingers. The 20 month is all the way down at $80,000. I don't think we'll go that low. I think if we got to $80,000, people will start buying this up like crazy. But we are making higher highs, higher lows. I mean, we could still touch 80,000 and be bullish. We could still be bullish because, like, if we look at this line here, we got a higher high, right? Higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And even if we come all the way back down to $86,000, we got a higher low, which would be then followed by a higher high likely. So even $80,000 is still bullish. Would I hold it that long going that low? No, that'd be insane. But yeah. All right, let's take a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum, let's go to the daily. Let's take a look at Ethereum. All right, Ethereum had that big run up, right? And I was in all of this run up. It was beautiful. At one point, I was like 120% up. I bought in all the way down here, right? And I wrote it up about that 30 some odd percent, but I had ETH, so it was double that. So I was like way higher. But I was buying in this flag, and you can see I still have my, let's turn off my indicators real quick. I still have my sideways channel there. I bought here, I bought down here, and then I let it ride all the way up to here, and I sold here, and I sold again like here. Okay, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Ethereum is probably going to touch this orange line here at 33.23. It might even come as low as 3,200 again. Okay, it could come as low as 3,200, and even then, it's just touching this support here on the left. Okay, which goes all the way down to about 3,035. All right, we can come that low and still be in a very bullish structure here. Okay, so don't be thinking Ethereum is going to come all the way back down to like 2,700. I don't think that's the case. I think we're going to see Ethereum hit 3,200, maybe as low as 3,000, but I don't really see it going back under 3,000 unless something happens. That is pretty bad. So 30,020. So let's just draw a line. This is kind of where I'm expecting. This is my like line in the sand. It goes beneath that. We're in trouble. Okay. Not too concerned though. I'm really not concerned. I think as soon as we take out this 3,900 here, we're gonna go for all-time highs on Ethereum. Let's bring back the Bollinger Bands. All right, we're nowhere near the Bollinger Bands. We're underneath the 20-day. That sucks. So we might hit the 50-day. And the 50-day is all the way down, 29. But by the time we get there, it'll be at 3,000. So I do think we'll probably hit the 50-day and then drive higher. We might go lower if we're not too much higher above it come early October. So watch out for that. But yeah, we're nowhere near any of these Bollingers. This is all looking pretty good. It's looking like we're ready for some consolidation and then drive higher. You can see we touched the weekly Bollinger Band on the top and then sold off, right? We haven't done that in a while. Usually Ethereum will touch it once, twice, and then sell off. We just touched it once and we sold off. So that's, like, 1, 2, boom. Didn't even touch it that time. Came down. Ethereum sometimes when it really ramps, when it wants to ride it, rides it far. BX Trender is showing that the weekly so far, now this week it doesn't close till tomorrow, but yeah, it's going to come in weaker. So yeah, don't be surprised. I think 3,000 is very possible here. and then we drive higher. There's a pocket down here that could take it as low as 2,500, but I think that would be pretty dramatic right now. I would look at the more at the daily for that sort of thing. Let's look at the monthly. It's not too bad inside bar near the top, as long as we don't dump all the way down, like underneath half of this candle, which would be, as long as we don't dump too hard beneath, yeah, about 3,000. As long as we don't revisit underneath 3,000, I think we just drive higher from here. Now, we are seeing a bit of a puke out here, and I'll show you like how this is going lower and lower and lower and lower, and this is staying about flat. It's as soon as we don't touch this trend line down here again and make a higher high outside of this upper line, that's when this puke out is done. Let me draw that for you. Let me draw it for you. Basically, as soon as it doesn't come back to touch this bottom one down here, right? Like if we get a swing down and it doesn't come all the way down to this bottom Bollinger Band, like all the way down here, then and it breaks this top, that's when that's done puking out and it's going to start to drive higher. Okay. That's an insanely huge move, but there you go. There you have it. I've never drawn with that tool before. It's kind of annoying. Let's take a look at Solana. Okay, Solana, crypto weekend, Solana. We're underneath the 200-day moving average right now. We're at 159. That kind of sucks. So we did come to the top of this support back here, right? We're done with this descending channel. That's over. Okay. There's so many lines on this chart right now. Let's hide drawings. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Solana maybe hit 146, 147 maybe right now, because this is getting rough. We're just getting accelerating to the downside. We're in this pocket of volume. We could come as low as 152 on the high end, 152, and then bounce back up out of that. But yeah, this is looking real rough, real rough. And that signal that it was going to happen was all the way up here at the top where the RSI crossed beneath the signal line there, and then we just puked out from there. Let's take a look here at 1 week. On the weekly, that's an evening star, and that is gross. So evening star, yeah, we could see this drive a little lower, maybe 150, 147. We really need it to hold there. Otherwise, this starts looking like a double top right here. Otherwise, this starts looking like a double top, and we could come all the way down to like $100 in the worst case scenario on Solana. So that's very, very possible. It's done it before, just like back here, right, where we went double top and then came all the way even lower down to $94 on that on the tariff puke out. But all right, so saving grace, this white line right here. As long as we don't stay above 144, we're still in that higher high, higher low pattern that it is forming here. And once we make that, hit that line and we bounce off of it, that next higher high could be up in like 227, 230 area. That's not so bad, not too bad. Now the BX trender and the RSI don't agree with that right now. So we're going to be watching that. On the monthly, yeah, the monthly is also not agreeing with that right now. It's not agreeing with it right now. And Solana will tend to ramp up, September. So August, September, October tend to be months where Solana will ramp up during that blow-off period. And you can see, yeah, did we get September? Yeah, September, October, November tend to be really good months for Solana. So I'm not too concerned about it. Like right here, September, October, November. It has never had a red September, October, or November since its inception, right? Even in 2022, I think. No, 2022 it was. It had a red October and November. So 2022 was the only year out of Solana's existence where it had a negative September, October, and November, or November. And even September was still green that year. So I'm not concerned about September, October, November right now for Solana. Now, if you're looking right now, you're seeing a head and shoulders right here on the monthly. That goes all the way back down to $20, but I really don't think that's going to happen. That would be catastrophic. Like Solana failed, and Solana is one of the best crypto chains right now. Basically, everything's getting built on Solana right now. So I don't see Solana, going down to $20 again. I really don't even see September, October, or November being necessarily bad for Solana, since it never has been before, except for in 2022, where October and November were bad, but September was still good. What about August? August, sometimes it has some bad Augusts, why isn't it showing me that one? I don't know. August, yeah, it's had a red August, minus 25%, 2022, 2023, we had a minus 16% August. So August sucks. August sucks usually for it. Yeah, minus 21%. So every August so far has been red for Solana. So this month might suck. We're already down 7% in August though, so maybe 7 to 12%, and then we'll go higher from there. We'll see. Anyways, that's it for the crypto weekend. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. Don't forget about the channel memberships. Check those out and have a profitable day.